Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. If you are a follower of my Instagram, you will know that I purchased this vintage Seiko Bell-Matic late last year, which is late December or November 2020 if I'm not too sure when I purchased it, but yeah, so I posted several pictures of this watch, and I did mention that it comes in a very, I would say, very dirty condition. You have like gunk stuck all in between the lugs and everything is so dirty, so I had to clean it twice. The first cleaning, it was more like a superficial cleaning, so I removed that original bracelet, I threw it in an ultrasonic cleaner, and then I used a toothbrush to try to brush out all the dirt that is stuck in between. But I wasn't really happy with the end result, so I made another second step of cleaning, which I took out the movement. Yes, I removed the crowns, the pushers and the crown. So these are easily, the instructions of how to remove this are easily available on the internet. So if you do some digging, you will have no problem removing that. And after removing all those, I take this whole watch case. I did not press out the crystal because I don't have I did not purchase like a new crystal for it, and somehow the crystal, I would say, is still in good condition. So I took this whole piece, I threw it in the ultrasonic cleaner, and I tried to clean it. And then after that, I did purchase like an aftermarket gasket to replace the case back gasket. Somehow this comes with the crown and pusher gasket, but I read like, it's not an easy replacement, so I didn't replace those gaskets on the crowns and pusher somehow. But after that two steps cleaning, and I did also use some diamond compounds to polish that acrylic crystal, and I would say so far I'm quite pleased with the end result. So a little bit of background of this piece before I go into all the details and all that, and somehow why did I pull the trigger on this one. So I saw this one on a local listing for, I would say, a decent price. I mean decent, I mean cheap. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not an expert in vintage watches, so I don't mind spending like, a couple of hundred of Malaysian ringgit to get one. And let's say if it's like a fake, if it's a Franken watch, I'll just take it as a lesson learned. So I chatted with the seller, and seems quite genuine and all that. So yeah, I pulled the trigger, and everything came in quite nice. Everything was in original condition. I have the original bracelet, but I don't think I have all the links. Right? And one good thing about these old vintage watches, if you look at it, the end links, even though it's hollow, as you can see, they have a seam underneath. So if you look at most newer Seiko 5, if it's a hollow end link, you'll just like have a sharp edge, and that's it. This one, you see, they somehow put an extra effort to have a folded seam inside that, so to prevent the end links from scratching up the watch case itself. So it's just a regular friction fitted glass pressed metal, nothing fancy about it, and hollow links as would expected from a vintage Seiko. So the reason I'm not wearing this is because after removing all the removable links, it's still too loose for me. Maybe it's stretched up too much with that old age of it. So let's go back to the watch here. I have to mention that I have to stress again that I'm not an expert in vintage watches, but I did do some read up. Somehow this Seiko Bell-Matic, if you look at it, it always, or most of the time, it will start with the 4006 model. Okay, so you can see it's 4006-7000. So this kind of Bell-Matic, it's an automatic alarm wristwatch. So yeah, it's an alarm watch, like back in the 60s. I believe this one, it's mid 60s or late 60s, Seiko introduced this Seiko Bell-Matic, and there are several versions of it after that. The original version is quite similar to this, but it comes with, I believe, 27 jewels. So if you find the 27 jewels, most likely it's for a Japan domestic market model. And why Seiko reduced the number of jewels from original 27 to 17? So I read it's like they wanted tried to avoid being taxed too much by the US government at that time. So because they were taxing watches based on the number of jewels, so maybe 27 jewels you have to pay more tax, and then 17 you don't have to pay that much. So this is what I've read online, so it might be true, might not be true, but somehow I cannot ascertain the age of this watch, but I'm just guessing that it's from the late 60s or early 70s, which makes it about, let's say if it's 70s, it's about 50 years old. All right, if my math is right, so it's about. Okay, so enough rambling. Let's start with some dimensions. So I have my caliper with me here. So the case, it's about, I would say 38 millimeters, and the thickness, it's about let me see here, it's about 13.8 millimeters because of that slightly boxed acrylic crystal. And the lug to lug distance is always tricky to measure, but I will try to do that here. Okay, so it's about 43.5 or 43.4 millimeters, which is quite wearable even for a small wrist. And it comes with an 18 millimeters lug width. So the strap here is from Straps Co. From the Sari lineup, which is try to recall. It's what they call their Saffiano leather here. So I thought, like, it's a watch from late 60s, early 70s. So I thought this burgundy strap matches the watch rather nice here. So if you look at the watch, let's go into the case a little bit. It has a vertically brushed finishing, if you are still seeing it here after all the age, but I think it's quite okay. You can see that it has that vertically brushed finishing at the top, and it's supposed to be high polish on all the sides. And here we have the main crown and the pusher. So this pusher can be used to activate the alarm and also to change the day of the week, which we will go into a little bit later. And the watch, as I mentioned, is protected by an acrylic crystal. So beneath that crystal, it's a dial that have some sort of a vertically brushed pattern. So I'm not sure if it's showing up in this lighting. Yeah, you can see that it has that very nice vertically brushed pattern. And the hands, if you can notice by now, yeah, it's kind of reloomed. So this is the main reason of the watch being so cheap, because somebody did a poor job of relooming the hands, as you can see. And apart from that, everything, I would say it's original. The movement is in pristine condition. I did open up the case back and I did remove the movement. So maybe I'll just throw in a few pictures or some videos of that pristine movement that you can see inside. It has applied hour markers and also loom on those hour markers, with the 12 o'clock being slightly broader. And it comes with a regular rectangular hour and minute hand, and there is the second hand, and we have the applied Seiko logo with Bell-Matic 17 jewels printed. And at the bottom you can see Japan 4006 dash is it dash 708 780T. So 4006 is the movement of the watch, if I'm correct. I might be wrong. So as you can see, we have like an internal bezel. So this bezel is used to set the alarm of the watch. So before we go in further, let's play with the alarm. So in order to do that, we need to wind the alarm. So there are two springs. One is the main spring for the watch that is non-hand windable, and it's just an automatic movement, so you have to do like a Seiko shuffle to, power it up. But for the alarm, we can turn the crown and you can wind it up, much like I would say a manual wound mechanical movement. So you wind it until you feel that there is resistance or a stop on that main crown. Okay, so once you're done, in order to activate the alarm, you will need to pull the alarm out. But here is how we set the alarm. So in order to set the alarm, we need to pull out the crown to the first position, and we turn the crown down, and you can see that red arrow on the internal bezel is moving. Okay, so if you want to set it, like say to 5 o'clock, the idea is to for you to set this triangle to the 5 o'clock position. So once you're there, you press it in, then you have already set the alarm, and in order to activate it, you just need to pull out this pusher. Okay, so when the time reaches 5, then you will hear the alarm. So let's move it forward a bit. Okay, so the alarm will sound for about 10 seconds, and if you want to stop it, we just have to press back the pusher down and you can stop the alarm at any time we want it to stop. Alright, so here it's pretty much about it on the interesting alarm. So some people say that it sounds like a cricket, which I don't mind. I really like this, you know, kind of invention. You know, you can try to imagine like in the early 60s or mid 60s or late 60s, people have ingenious method to create alarm watches, right? I mean, that's before the popularization of quartz watches. I mean, now we take it for granted. We have our phone, we have quartz watches, we have smart watches, so we even have Google assistants to, you know, set alarm without doing anything, but just like say, hey Google, set an alarm in 5 o'clock or what, something like that. So this is something that we took for granted, and I would say it might be an obsolete technology by now, but yeah, I still find it interesting, and I just want to have a piece of history, if you will. So there you have it. So there's the main crown, this is the pusher, and let's try to see this pusher. You can use it to change the day of the week. So let's say if you press it down, is it day? I can't remember. No, yeah, sorry, I always thought it's day of the week, but it's the date, so which is much practical. So let's say if you are in a month that you don't have 31st, then you just advance the date by just pushing the pusher and you are done. And for the day of the week, I don't think, or maybe is there a quick set? Let's try to do that. So push it down. Nope, there's no quick set for the day, so we are stuck with time adjustment and the pusher for the date adjustment, which is not a big problem because normally you don't really need to set the day of the week unless you have a lot of watches and it stopped running, then you will have problem like what I encountered. But for people back then, practically they don't need to change the day of the week that often. Alright, so yeah, and the case bag, it's quite a nice case bag. So it's Seiko engraved, and it's a closed case bag. We cannot see the movement inside. So I guess that's pretty much it for this watch. So what do you think? Is it a good deal? I mean, do you mind getting a watch that has a poor relume, or maybe should I try to change the handset? I'm not too sure. I'm not too keen to do that because I want to keep things original. And yeah, I believe this is all that is for this video. Okay, so if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. So stay civilized, stay friendly, you know, don't be a big bully, you know. And yeah, so yeah, if you feel that this is a fake watch, this is a Franken watch, please tell me, because I'm a noob in vintage watches. I don't really do a lot of studies and research before I pull the trigger. I'm just like happy trigger pulling kind of guy. And if it's a good price, if it's a good deal, then I will buy it. And maybe you can see that some discoloration on that date wheel, so maybe this will affect the price, or this also is part of the reason I managed to get this at a low price. Alright, okay, so that's it for this video. If you're new to my channel, please help to subscribe to my channel. It does help me a lot. You can also follow me on my Instagram at gfw_watch for more watch pictures. Till then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.